We're here today looking at winter 2019 and spring 2020 batches of Alishan High Mountain Jin Xuan Oolong from our regular source in Ruili, Meishan Township in Alishan tea growing region in south central Taiwan, you might say. So we're just doing a little taste comparison from one season to the next. The winter batch was harvested in November 2019 and the recent spring batch was harvested at the beginning of April. I brewed 9 grams of leaf in 150 milliliter tea judging cup for 1 minute and twice. From the appearance of the leaves, as I took the dried leaf out to brew them, the spring tea looks a little bit more mature. They're a little bit larger nuggets of dried leaf, rolled leaf. And in terms of the brewed tea, it looks like the winter tea is a little bit darker and slightly more deeper golden than the spring tea. Let's give one more. Yeah, very full foresty kind of scent from the spring. And more fresh herbal aroma coming off the winter tea leaves. They're not very hot anymore. Maybe 60, 70 degrees. Let's have a sip. I'm gonna go winter first brew first. Definitely the buttery note in the aroma coming off the spoon. Not so much off the leaves after they've been cooled. They do change quickly once they cool down, but the aroma on the spoon is definitely a Jin Xuan character. Wow. Full on Jin Xuan. Yeah, really good exemplary Jin Xuan character. Enough of the oolong kind of green, high mountain tea, I should say, high mountain tea character. Deep green, freshness, balanced, but then the after note of fresh milk and butter. Let's see what spring has. Yeah, buttery, but definitely the aroma of the spoon here, now I'm getting it, as it kind of evaporates a little more. Definitely buttery, but the first thing I smelled was more herbal, vegetal character. Yeah, I'd say the spring tea has the buttery character, but it's a little closer to a high mountain Qingxin Oolong this time around. It's hard to say why. The maturity of the leaves, perhaps. I'm going to go ahead and dump the leaves out and have a look. Push this forward a little, get a closer look. The winter leaves are a little thicker. They're smaller in size, still supple, but these are, which is typical. Slower growing in the winter. Whoa, there's a big whopper. Okay, that's a mature Jin Xuan leaf. Yeah, so it looks like this batch was harvested a little bit more maturely. The coloration in the leaves looks fairly similar. There are definitely some orangey reddish hues going on, particularly in the stems. There's a quite oxidized leaf there. Smaller, but you got 4 leaves on the stem, which is quite common these days. Again. Yeah, it looks like the early spring growing season might have been slow, and then maybe picked up right at the end and had a growth spurt after we got some rains and the weather warmed up a bit. So it has a little bit, it acts a little bit like a winter tea. And it looks like they oxidized it fairly significantly. Let's go for the second brew, which will probably be more pronounced in flavor, a little bit stronger. So 1 minute brews, but it takes, in these cups, it takes a while for the leaves to open up and really start brewing. Way more substantial. It's got that deep winter character to it. and full-on buttery after note as well. But that kind of, it's hard to describe, kind of a fir forest, piney, but not quite so aromatic piney, just a deep high mountain alpine forest character to it. The the brewed tea looks significantly lighter in the spring. Definitely tastes lighter too. More vegetal, with an after note of the butteriness comes out after you swallow the tea, but more of a balanced vegetal character. It's buttered vegetables. That's what it tastes like to me. Fresh green vegetal character. A little bit of floralness in there. It's got some spring compared to the winter for sure. The second brew is definitely more indicative of their nature, so to speak. More substantial, thicker mouthfeel going on the winter, which again is classic. Vegetal, savory, buttery savoriness. It's nice. It's got a freshness too. Of course, this is several months old by now. This is less than 1 month old. So there we have it. Same farm. There's a few different plots of Jin Xuan on this farm, but they're all on the same mountainside within a few hundred, maximum 500 meters of each other. So basically the same microclimate. It's interesting. Thicker leaves on the winter, which makes sense, but larger leaves on the spring. And I would say maybe the winter is a little more oxidation going on, but close. Close in terms of the oxidation. Okay, don't want to babble. There we have it. Alishan High Mountain Jin Xuan Oolong, winter 2019 on this side, spring 2020 on this side. Successive seasons from the same farm. We really appreciate the overall circumstance of this farm. It's family run. The factory is in their homesteaded property. They've developed their plots of tea from their father's time, who was one of the first people to grow tea commercially in this area that had been developed prior to the influx of the tea industry here in Taiwan. So it's old farmland being repurposed for the tea industry in the last generation or two. And it's so in a nutshell, it's quite sustainable. You can check out the Spring 2020 High Mountain Jin Xuan Oolong on our website now. Go to the unroasted teas category and you'll find this Alishan Jin Xuan. Check it out. And we encourage you to do the same as we just did, is to collect at least from one season to the next, if you can, 3 or 4 seasons throughout the year. We try to source each harvest in order to offer an educational experience. It's part of the deep culture of tea production here. And we like to represent everything that happens, not just what is marketed. It's been marketed in previous generations, at least, that spring and winter are by far better quality than summer and fall. That sometimes is the case, but not always. And we have lived through many years of following the harvests to prove that to ourselves and others. So do your own experiments, check it out. It's part of the thrill of learning about tea culture. Thanks for being with us, and keep an eye out for the upcoming Qingxin Oolong harvest in a week or so.